Hi folks, hope you're okay today. I've just been reading this book, Finding the Plot. Don't fully agree with it. It's by Paternoster, Roger Standing, Counties Baptist Association, and he writes this on page 237. We should always be ready to learn more and have our understanding deepened and our horizons broadened in our practice of preaching. And I think that's right. You can't stagnate as a preacher. If you're not willing to grow in your experience of life, in your experience of the Bible, in your understanding of theology, if you're just standing still where you're getting your sermons off the internet, what good's that? It's got to be, your sermons have to be a living experience. They have to be from the Word of God. That means you've got to study the Word of God. It means you've got to be in prayer. It means you've got to be wanting to pursue God. So don't stagnate as a preacher. Alright? Take care. Hi folks, hope you're okay today. It's good to be with you. We're looking at the growth of a preacher, and we're looking at this book, which I don't fully agree with, but it's an interesting book. It's by Roger Standing, and he writes, published by Paternoster. He says, we should always be prepared to change and adapt what we do, and to stagnate into the comfortable habits of our past, and not to stagnate into the comfortable habits of our past experience, habits that can suffocate the spiritual vitality of our preaching and cause us to fail to engage with the radical living reality testified in the Scriptures. I don't know, I think if you've got a method that's helpful, then continue to use the method. But if you're getting too reliant on the method and you're not depending on God, then maybe change the method sometimes. But you've got to be willing to grow. I think that's the point, is to grow spiritually, to grow in your practice. So read books that are out. I mean, this book is out of my comfort zone. I don't like the book, but I'm reading it because it's out of my comfort zone, and it's getting me to think, and maybe getting me to look at things in a way that I've not thought of looking at. So be willing to read things that are out of your comfort zone to challenge you and to make you think, and especially in your practice of preaching. But you know, if you've got a good method, continue to use it, but be willing to learn from others as well, even those you don't completely agree with. Hi folks, hope you're okay today. We're looking at this book, and he writes, page 237, we should always be open to the cultural context with which we minister, so that our communication of the timeless Word of God might be contextually tailored to specifically fit the people we address. John Stott does a really good analysis and a more balanced view than this guy about the relationship between the Bible, the world of the Bible, and context. And he talks about straddling two worlds. I think he's right here in this book. We do have to look at context. We do have to look at the cultural context. But that doesn't mean to say that we water the content. It doesn't mean to say that we water down the gospel or we water down the Bible. But it does mean to say we have to be sensitive to where people are at. I mean, for example, the Lord, when he was preaching to farmers, used farming illustrations. If you're preaching to footballers, use footballing illustrations. But the Lord never compromised the message, and so we mustn't compromise the message. But very often you get an unbalance on either side. You either get preachers that are culturally relevant but not got much biblical content, or you got people who are biblically content but they're not culturally relevant because they're not actually itching where the culture is scratching. So those are some thoughts.